Welcome to the Worthy Well podcast with Nikki G, where we go deep, we draw from the well, and pour what we've learned into real life. I'm so glad to have you here. Listen, I am so excited because there's something that's been weighing heavy on me that I want to talk about, and it's something that I think that a lot of us may struggle with, and we're just going to talk about it and go deep. So, have you found yourself in cycles and in patterns? You'll get yourself out of a situation and you find yourself right back in it. Maybe you got out of debt and paid all those credit cards off, but due to emotional spending, you got right back in debt. Maybe it's a toxic relationship that you said, nope, I'm not doing it no more. I'm not going to answer the phone, but you find yourself right back in it. Is there any situation that you just feel like, why am I back here? What's happening? Well, a lot of times the cycles and the patterns is a trauma response because we get comfortable with the discomfort. And that's something that I want to just really break down and go into the deep and the draw and the pour. And I want to start with the story that I love. It's a story that stuck with me for years. And it's a story about a dog. This dog groaned and howled all the time until the community, the neighborhood, hated this dog because it's like all that dog does is howl and groan. And so the dog would howl and groan and then would go and play and go to the bathroom and eat and everything and be fine, but would go right back to that same spot and start growling and howling and just being just miserable again. Well, he did this most of his life. Would get up, knew what freedom felt like because he had to get up and go play and go eat and go do his business, but he went right back to that spot and he howled and he groaned. Well, years later, the owner picked the dog up and there was a rusted nail under the dog's paw. So if you think about that, the dog could have moved, maybe would have moved, but was comfortable with that pain because after the freedom of running around and eating, it went right back to that nail on the paw and groaned and moaned until the dog died. And so when I think about that, it's like, wow, how many of us get a little bit of freedom for whatever pain that we're going through, but we go right back to what's familiar? That may resonate with you a little bit. Like, how many of us still have our paw on that nail? Maybe you left the relationship temporarily and got some peace, but you went back to what was familiar, went back to that nail. Maybe you were able to say no and set a boundary, but you felt bad because you're a people pleaser. And so you went right back to that nail. Many of us go back to that nail on the paw because sometimes when you grow up in trauma and you grow up around chaos, that pain becomes familiar. And I know it's tight and it doesn't sound so good, but you may be able to find yourself somewhere in that situation. So that dog died on that nail in discomfort. And all the dog had to do was move. And so many of us, we're afraid to move because sometimes moving feels unfamiliar. And so what I want to talk about today, we're going to go into the deep. We're going to talk about cycles and patterns. Have you found yourself in the same situation again and again? It's almost like the hamster's wheel. I know I have. Back in the same situation again. Trauma survivors especially. You have to know your worth and know that you're worthy of better to get off of the hamster's wheel and to break the cycle. The cycle could have started with you, but it can also stop with you. And so I want to talk about that. And so the deep of it is, what is going on in our lives that's making us go right back to that same nail on that porch? What can we do to move off of that nail and to live a better life? First of all, we have to make sure that we know that we deserve to do that we are worthy of it. And so that was really heavy on me. I really wanted to do that because cycles and patterns are huge, okay? And in order to live a better life that we are worthy of, we have to realize, like, what is going on with me? I want you to know right now, you're not crazy, okay? There's some things and some habits that are learned through trauma and that are learned through what we grow up seeing that become what we start doing. And we have the ability. If you can learn it, you can unlearn it. And we're going to tap into that. And so I know for sure that I know when I was growing up, I was an obese child. I was teased as a kid because I was so heavy. And so what I did was I was just nice to everybody. I didn't know how to set a boundary. I thought the nicest person that I can be, if I'm nice, they won't tease me. They won't talk about me. And so I'm going to just say yes to everything, and I'm going to be a people pleaser and all of that. And I tell you, that grew up with me into my adulthood, being a people pleaser and wanting everybody to love me, because if you love me, you won't talk about me and all that. And so that's one of the things that I had to deal with even later in my adulthood. And that's a pattern. Like, okay, I'm going to be nice and I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to be the yes person, and I'm going to do everything I can do so they will love me. But guess what? I found out you can do everything you can for people and give them your last, and they're still not going to always like you. So that did not serve me well. So in time, I had to realize, like, okay, I have to break that pattern, because being the yes woman and not setting a boundary is not going to help me. And so I want to talk about the things that we can do, the 5 things that we can do to not go back to those unhealthy places and back to that nail on the porch. Okay. So the deep of it is, I realize that I have patterns in my life, and I realize that I'm ending up in the same place, whether it's a toxic relationship, getting back in debt, emotional eating, not thinking that I'm worthy enough. Like, that's the deep of it all. And then the draw of it is like, I got to name this thing and realize, like, okay, this exists, but I can end it. Okay. So the pour I want to get into is, what can we do? 5 things that we can do so that we can stop going back to things that do not serve us well, those patterns and those cycles. So 5 steps to stop going back to what hurts us. That dog went back to that nail all the time, and he was miserable and did not live the life that he should have lived. And I don't know about you, but I want to get my paw off that nail. So let's talk about 5 things that we can do. So the first thing, and I'm just going to first name them all off, and then we're going to break it on down. The 5 things that we can do. We have to name it, own it, regulate before you react, replace it, and stop suffering in silence. And I'll say that again. First, we have to name it. Okay, yes, this is a thing. We have to name it. Like, okay, I am back in these cycles. I am back repeating the same thing. I said I was going to leave him alone, but I answered the phone. I let him back in. He showed me who he was, but I didn't believe him. I said I was going to start saving my money and get out of debt, but you know what? I got to go get these things. I got to go shop because I want people to think that I have more. I want to feel better and fill that hole with shopping. But then I'm broke and I'm trying to figure out what's going on and why I don't have any money. And then we have to own it. Yes, it's going on, but I know that I can change. So that's number 2, owning it. And then regulating ourselves before we act. Just because you come and you act a certain way, somebody in your face, it doesn't mean that I have to react right away. I can make a different choice. I can choose to remove myself from the room. I can choose to remove you from my life. I can choose to say no, okay? And then replace it. So there are just going to be some times when we're going to have to find something else to do, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to have gratitude on my heart instead of thinking about the gloom and the doom. I'm going to write in my journal 5 things that I'm grateful for. I'm going to, at the end of the day, write down 5 great things that happened to me today. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to say no. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to not avoid things, but I'm going to face it, because we can't fix what we don't face. So I'm going to do something different. I'm going to take a walk in the morning, just to clear my head. I'm going to listen to a positive podcast. I'm going to do something to replace the negative with the positive. And before you know it, it's going to build up your self-worth. And then you will find yourself not so easily going back to the pattern. And then the fifth thing, stop suffering in silence. You have podcasts that you can listen to. You have friends that you can go to that love you. You can go to therapy. You can have a mentor. There are so many resources. You don't have to suffer in silence, sis. When I tell you, you're not alone. So if you find yourself in these cycles, don't let shame and embarrassment keep you in that cycle and make you feel as if you have no one to go to. So we have to acknowledge the nail. So what is the nail? What is it that we're going back to? The toxic relationship? The person that meant you no good and you keep giving it chance after chance? Red flags don't turn green. I've had to learn that the hard way. Okay? So you're overspending to fill a void. You're overeating because there's a void. I did that for many, many years. I went through some trauma in my life, and food filled that void for me. And so we acknowledge what the nail is, and clarity breaks denial. Okay? And so the second thing is we have to identify the payoff, not in the positive payoff way, but there's something that staying in the cycle has done for us in the negative realm. Is it because it's more comfortable to be in pain because it's familiar? Is it that you feel more alive when you're in that? You feel more needed if you don't set a boundary? There's something going on that feels like a payoff to you. So identify that. Like, what is this false payoff? What am I getting from staying in this state? What am I getting from it? Because it's not serving us well. So we have to identify that. What is this false little payoff that we keep going back to? And then we have to disrupt that. Whatever that is that's familiar, we have to disrupt it and do anything that we have to do to get out of that. Okay? Get out of that, because sometimes it seems unnatural when you're growing. It seems weird. Maybe growth seems boring. Because have you ever met anybody, even through your pain, you may have met someone that it seems like they thrive in chaos. They thrive in mess, because being peaceful seems weird and it seems bored. That is a trauma response, I tell you. Like being happy, being full of contentment seems weird. And so that person will blow their lives up. Find chaos. Find something that's wrong, because it feels more familiar to be in the chaos. And that is something that we have to really work against. Let's disrupt what's familiar. Let's choose peace out of chaos. If someone is out of order, you do not have to just match that energy. You can rise above it. Those are little things that you can do to disrupt what's familiar. And build a tolerance for peace. Listen, peace is everything. Maybe you have nothing to do that day. Maybe that day is just peaceful. Nobody is calling you with any problems. It's just peace. Sit in it. Peace is not emptiness, it's stability. And I know that growing up in trauma and what you may have gone through doesn't feel familiar, but peace is stability. And it may seem unfamiliar, but I want you to learn how to build a tolerance for peace. Sit in it and learn how to love it, because it's everything. And I tell you, the last thing, we have to choose movement. Listen, if that dog would have just moved a little bit at a time, it would have lived a much better life. So we have to move. Movement and healing, y'all, it's a muscle. It's not something that we're just going to just develop overnight and do overnight. So you start by moving. You move daily, you move bit by bit, and that helps you to break the cycle. And so every time you see yourself going back to that nail, you catch yourself. And that is why therapy is so important, because therapy gives us the tools. What can we do when we catch ourselves going back to those patterns and those cycles? Because it's a process. It's about consistency because you're so worthy of living a life that is peaceful and free and not chaotic. And so I just want to let you know that, listen, those of us that have been through things and we've been through trauma, our worthiness is stripped of us. We don't feel like we're worthy. And when you don't feel like you're worthy, you don't set the boundary. You allow people to treat you any kind of way. You may not even feel like you're worthy enough to even have wealth. And so you're going to spend money frivolously because deep down inside, you don't feel like you're worthy of wealth and abundance. But I want to let you know, just because you've learned those things and you've gone through those things, it doesn't mean that you can't unlearn them. So I'm here to tell you on the Worthy Well podcast today that you can unlearn those things. You are worthy to be able to get out of that hamster's wheel and to be free. When I think about the story of that dog, all he had to do was move. So with us, all we have to do is make a different decision and move over to the left and to the right. Let's just move. And when we move, we can live the life that we've always wanted to live. It's in us. And we know deep down in our knowing that there is something better for us. But we keep going to the nail because it's comfortable. I want us to, as we are growing and healing, to move off of that nail so that we can heal. Don't die on that nail, sis. I'm determined I'm not going to die on that nail. I'm going to take my hand off that nail. It may be a hole in there, but it's going to heal. It's going to heal. And as it heals, guess what? I'm going to thrive and I'm going to live the life that I was meant to live. You have purpose on your life. I don't care what you've done, what you've gone through. There's purpose for you. But you got to get off that nail and heal. And I'm so excited for you to do it. And I love you so much. And I'm going to go to the well to see what the word is of the day. And the word is deserving. Oh, I love that. You are so deserving of love. You're deserving of living your true dreams of whatever that it is that you have. And also, you deserve to get your paw off that nail and to move because there's something in you. Do you know that the thing that is in you that you're afraid to do could be something that saves somebody's life? You have it in you, but that fear and that unworthiness is making you think that you're not enough. You are deserving to get your hand off that nail, get your paw off that nail, and to live the life that you are meant to live. So we're going to just really, really let that be our pour, that we are going to embrace that we deserve the life that we should be living. You deserve it. Hey, love. So my outfit of the day was, I got this little number and I thought it was really cute. It was for the office. It's given, y'all. It's the olive green and the sleeves I really, really love. And the white collar. I thought it was really good for business. Really cute, really comfortable. And this perfume, y'all, I love it so much. It's called Her Confession by Lattafa. When I tell you, I am not a gatekeeper. You must get this in your arsenal. And just remember that a woman should always be pulled together and smell delicious. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Worthy Well podcast with Nikki G, where we go deep, we draw from the well, and pour what we've learned into real life. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube and to also listen on Spotify. And if this resonated with you, please share it with someone that you feel like it can be useful to. I love you all. I mean it. Have a great week. Mwah.